um, what we think. I'll
Yeah,
never make a decision without him, and he's never going to make a decision without me. Um, because we got to that point. You know,
yeah,
you when you become a unit, the competition. If you can get to an understanding where, okay,
yeah. Kim and her family, and I didn't want to lead with this because this isn't about him. I really reached out to Kim because knowing her and following her life through social media, I felt like she would be able to give us the input on this particular subject that we're talking about. Um, and I have so much respect for the things that she has done, both in her personal life and what she's done business wise, and how active she is in the community with the girls that she coaches and the whole nine. Um, but if the last name sounds familiar, that is Ray Allen's. Who's older, you or him?
I am. I just turned 50 2 weeks ago. Ray
Okay.
turns 50. Ray turns 50 next year. So we stay the same age for like 3 days. He's July 20th. I'm July 23rd. So we are Irish twins for those 3 days.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So that is, you know, um, people look at Ray Allen and they don't know that his family is riddled. Um, Kim, the camera slipped back down. It's cutting you off again.
Is that
Other way.
good?
Other way.
Is that good? Other way?
There you go. Well,
Is that
up,
good?
up, up a little bit. Up the other way. Up the other way. There, right there. There you go.
Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
Let's see if I can catch
what
it.
people don't know is Ray wasn't the only athlete in that family. His mom and dad both played professionally, but what's so crazy about his dad is his dad played until an older age, and even as he got older, Walt was virtually unstoppable on the basketball court. Like
Mm.
he was, because he was the first person that I saw that was, I don't even think ambidextrous is the correct word, because ambidextrous means you have the ability to shoot with your opposite hand.
Right.
He shot consistently good with his opposite hand, and so he was definitely a tough guard. um Mom plays sports. So what sports did mom play?
She just played basketball.
Okay, but Kim, you went to college on volleyball and basketball, right?
I did.
Yeah, all
Hmm.
American in basketball, right? Yeah,
Yep, and Hall of Famer
Okay.
um, in both. Yep.
yeah,
I went to
yeah.
Benedict College HBCU, and I got to shout out my HBCU in
Yes.
Columbia, South Carolina.
HBCU.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. HBCUs are really built differently now than they were then.
Most definitely.
Yes, it's back then they didn't really get the notoriety that they get now. And to me, the inner workings of HBCUs haven't changed. I think it's just the people who've come through there kind of have shed a brighter light on HBCUs. Would you agree, Kim?
You're speaking of sports wise or school overall wise?
Just school over wide. But do you feel like the sports aspect, and because there have been some bigger and uh, um, more pronounced and bigger names coming out of HBCUs now? Do you think that
Um,
maybe?
I, I just think it's the opportunity. Um, I think that, just in my opinion, because female sports don't get. I don't care if it's HBCU or NCAA. Don't get the notoriety that male sports get. But just going from HBCU, even to me back in my day, was a grind. Like I didn't. You went to college. I'm 50, so I graduated in 96. I was just there to play sports. Not to say I wasn't there because I was smart. So I was there. It was either go to that school and get an education. Or I'm going military because that's what I knew. So just getting an extra chance to play a sport, I don't think for me, I had an opportunity and it was like, do you want to go play overseas? It was WNBA was coming later, so it was not like something I thought about. It was like use sports to, go get an education. I feel like now the conversation has shifted, and as long as the conversation shifted, there's other opportunities. I think, even when Dion was at Jackson State, he started promoting, you know, look at the HBCUs or HBCU Day, where that's never been done before. And I think with when you have more voices, it gives people opportunity because I do think there's talented people at HBCUs in the way that the portal's set up now. A lot of athletes are shifting from D1 to D2s or wherever they're given the opportunity to play. Um, so I think there are more people looking in that direction. I don't think enough, but I think there's more. There's a highlight on HBCU, especially when it's given opportunity. When I originally went to school, they allowed you didn't have to pass. I'm not gonna, and I don't want to say that it was in a bad way, but like black males who didn't have direction were afforded college opportunities. And
Yeah.
some of them have gone on and become great people because of the opportunity that they got there versus the one that they didn't get. They could have been somewhere doing some things that landed them in jail, but the opportunity that was afforded to them allowed them to move on and do better things. So I guess it's the opportunity in the conversation. If we're in the conversation, more people will start looking in that direction.
Okay. This is a little off topic of what we're going to talk about, but since we're on that, I just wanted to ask, like it just popped up in my head. Do you think the awareness that our black community has now about how our history was so um, kind of torn from us, or and wasn't really laid out to us the correct way? Do you think that in some cases is a driving force why kids are really kind of seeking out HBCUs, is to learn more about their culture?
No, I don't. I
Yeah.
just think that it's preference sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Like my daughter went to HBCU, um, and you can speak to various one of her friends. Some of them went to PWIs. I'm sorry for I'm at someone else's house, so they're having a cookout.
No, you're fine.
Um, I just think that sometimes it's preference. I feel like, and even people that I know that have come from New York and the upper states down south, they have a rich family history of HBCUs.
Yeah.
I think that learning, where we came from, we're still learning about that. I feel like, the younger generation, unless that information not passed down to you or you find out yourself, because, I went to school in South Carolina. We had to learn South Carolina history. We had a class for South Carolina history. It was a South Carolina history book.
Oh,
And they told you what you want to know. And even now where they're trying to take books out of the classroom and write it a certain way, um, there's stuff that I'm still learning, and I'm 50.
yeah.
I'm not gonna say I'm a history buff, but if there's something new, or I don't let someone else tell that story for me, because there's so many different ways that people are telling it, or they want you to hear it. It's up to me to do that research, and I think the younger kids aren't into doing that research. So I don't think they're going to school, because of that. They're going because of history. Their parents are there. Some of them have been in private school, so they want to be in that, environment.
Uh-huh.
Some don't want to be in that environment. It just all depends, various reasons, but I definitely don't think it's because of that.
Okay. Well, shout out to all the HBCUs. I know we host a lot of events, sports events here in Arizona. Not a lot, but Chris Paul hosts the HBCU basketball tournament, and then there's
Hmm.
another friend of mine that He hosts a HBCU All Star game out here. I think this is like the second or third year
Okay.
for it,
Hmm.
and so I love seeing that. And so, like I said, shout out to all the HBCUs. Uh, love where it came from and where it's at and where it's going. We have our co-host in the building, Miss
Hmm.
Christy. Christy, we have Miss Kim Allen on the phone.
Nice to meet you as well.
So, um, the topic today is there a such thing as a healthy competition within a relationship? Um, I will first pose that question to Kim. And
Okay.
Kim, if you say yes, it is, give me the reason why it is and if it's important.
Um, what I will say is I'll sit in the middle. And it just depends on your relationship because I've been married 25 years. We just had an anniversary this uh, July 31st. And I feel like I'm not trying to compete with my husband.
Uh
I
huh.
don't want to compete with him. Um, I feel like if, and I'm competitive, I feel like, you know, I don't want to lose at anything. If we're talking about playing cards, we compete with each other in board games and stuff like that and gets competitive like that. Fine, we're gonna win. But when it comes to relationships and strengthening that relationship, I'm not trying to compete with them. I feel like, there was a time when I was younger, you find yourself in that phase because you're trying to grow. You're trying to grow in a relationship. You really don't understand what your relationship is supposed to be. And this is my opinion. Uh, I'm gonna speak, you know, from my experience. There's many times that I could have been divorced. I made the conscious decision to say, you go through those early phases of who's making more money, how to work through those things, and I think that sometimes people don't know how to work through things that affect the relationship. So you're competing. I'm making more money, he's making more money, but are you truly one, a unit?
Yeah.
And as long as you're competing, and honestly, we got to a point where it's like, if I have, you have. If we have more together.
Yeah.
And granted, I can still go out here and make more money, and I want to respect you because I still want you to make more money, but I'm not going to compete to say that I'm out here making more money and I'm belittling you because I make more money.
Yeah.
And just being in the relationship that we are, a lot of relationships fail because, even I'll just speak, black women, we're educated, we're strong, you know we love to make money and we love to be on top, but how do we get our relationship to survive, in that aspect? And I felt like for me to, for us to survive at a certain point, um I had to let my husband lead to an extent.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong person. I'm an independent person, but for my relationship to survive, I couldn't always be the leader of everything. I'm not trying to compete with you. I have to let him lead in some aspect in order for us to survive. And if I felt like once we got to that crossroads and that decision was made, we still respect each other. And if a decision was made, we'll still come back together and say, um, what we think. I'll
Yeah.
never make a decision without him, and he's never going to make a decision without me. Um, because we got to that point.
Yeah.
You when you become a unit, the competition. If you can't get to an understanding, whereas no matter what you have, we're one, then you're the competition makes you guys kind of hate each other. So, from my perspective, I'm not competing with my husband. I
Yeah.
don't. it could be good to an extent, but as long as you guys are, we're working and we're growing together and we understand that, we are a unit and we're doing this for each other, then yes. But if it becomes a point that I have more than you, or um, I'm belittling you because of it, no.
Kim, can I just say congratulations to 25 years of marriage? That is amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Christy, in your opinion, and I usually preface it, the opinions of people on this show aren't necessarily the opinions of everyone. And that's what we love about it. And that's why we have so many different walks of life, people coming from different backgrounds, is because I feel like that's what makes us so special, as as a world, is that everybody looks and sees things differently. And when you mesh that all together, regardless of what your life experiences have been, it's amazing to see it, because a lot of times we put blinders on, and especially as you get older, depending on how you were raised, as you get older, when something's been working for you for so long, a lot of times it's hard to see things other ways, because you're like, okay, this has been working for me. Why would I see it different? And a lot of times to see things differently is not to educate yourself, but it's to educate yourself about other people
Yeah.
and why they think a certain way, why they move a certain way. And I always said that would solve a lot of our racial divide if we educated ourselves about each other's culture, and that will explain why they do certain things, why we do certain things, why we celebrate certain things, and really our mindset. um Christy, in your opinion, is there a such thing as a healthy competition in a relationship?
So I don't judge other people's relationships. What works for me may not work for you. For me, however, competition in a relationship is a big no. And that is because in a relationship, we are there to support, encourage, uplift, inspire each other. And we're not there to compete against each other. And also, just the word competition as if we're lacking. And in a relationship, there should be no lack of, there's only abundance of. So,
Yeah, I like that. Floyd, what say you?
Hmm. Well, I'm on that other spin of that. Okay, as a man, I am competitive when it
Yeah,
comes to a lot of certain things. But in a relationship, you know, the only thing that I'm competitive in is if we're challenging each other. You know,
that's where I would. That's go ahead. But
so
that was where I was gonna chime in. But keep going.
but yeah, so basically, yeah, it's like I can be playing a board game, or I can be playing dominoes, or I can be playing all that stuff. I'm gonna be competitive, okay. But as of a relationship part of it, it's like I'm gonna be competitive when it comes to, hey, let's build this thing together. Let's do it. Okay. First one who hits 10, gets this prize or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
making
So,
it fun.
but basically, we're going. It's not going to be an individual thing, but it's going to be a together thing, as
Yeah.
being competitive
so you were on the same team. That's
on the
what you're
same
saying.
team, right?
So I think what it sounds like for me, you're more of the inspire and motivate,
Right.
Mhm.
and
Right.
so that is understandable. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine that I had lunch with, and she agreed that there is a level of competition in a relationship, but the way she described it, it was more of the unspoken. So she used the analogy, and a lot of times we use analogy based on things that we're familiar with. I've been in the military, I played professional sports. Same thing with Kim as well. What she said was that she would have days where she didn't feel like working out.
Mm.
And at the time, she was dating an athlete. And she said to see what he had endured as a professional athlete, during practice and games, and still have the energy to get up and go out on his own. He wasn't saying, "Hey, get up and go to the gym with me," and "Oh, you only went to the gym once." It wasn't that. It was more of his actions drove her to.
Inspired
It's
her.
yeah. It was, and it's the verbiage is like Christy said, when you use the word competition, that means
It's a wrap.
two people individually striving for the same thing but doing their own thing to get there. And you don't really see that as being part of a relationship. I agree totally with that. Like I was saying, I think the words that we would rather use is inspire and motivate.
Yeah,
Um, but it's
I can
it's
agree
tough.
with that too, Tim.
Yeah.
I can agree, but what she's saying is I wouldn't in the same I wouldn't say that as competition though, because I feel
Yeah.
like our job as people, especially when you're in a relationship, my actions, and I was speaking to a friend as well who's trying to inspire his team to motivate them, but got hurt doing it. There's different ways to lead. I mean, I work out every day. My husband's always on a regimen. He doesn't really understand why I get up to do what I do. I don't. I'm not one that says that someone has to do anything. It's in me.
Mhm.
I always tell the girls I coach. Sometimes leaders aren't made; they just step in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether you're in your family, my team is my family as well. You want friendly competition. If you're looking at it that way, friendly competition. I always tell them, you know, I don't care who starts. It's the one who puts the best effort and the one who's going to give their all for their team. At the end of the day, in my household, it's the same thing. And I don't know if everyone looks at it the same way, but your children are always going to go to the parent that they see constantly leading and motivating them. When they're down, they find that person that's going to do it, inside your household. So you're talking about, I hate to say, even use the word competing, but, if you inspire, compete, interchangeably, then I would agree because, you want your family to be proud of you.
Yeah.
And so if you're leading and you're doing something every day and then that person's motivating you and they're undercover, I'm gonna do what they do. And that's inspiring you to be better. That's making your family better. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think that should be everybody's goal to, progressively make your family unit, whether it's your husband and your kids or whoever you call family, trust that you're gonna always show up for them.
Yeah. Um, I think that people don't understand that concept when not everybody, but there's people that don't understand the concept of leading. A lot of people have this skewed idea of what it means to be a leader. And I always say there's two types. There's rulers and there's leaders. Leaders lead with nothing to gain, when they have nothing to gain. Rulers only lead when there's something to gain from it. And I think one of the questions is when you step into those roles is what kind of leader are you going to be? And so that's very important. Is a lot of times, like you said, our actions. If we never said a word, our actions is what motivate and inspire people. And some people see it as a competition. Like, you shouldn't be the person that is in the lead that should be pushing competition. Now, if somebody looks at you and say, "I want to be like them," okay, if they did this, then I want to try to do this. And once again, that borders inspire and motivate. But some people just can't. They're wired like that, especially with athletes, Kim. Like, it's hard for us to think of. not think of things as a competition is because that's how we've been hardwired. Even in the military, that's how we've been hardwired. Like, okay, if he did that. But I think what you have to be careful of is it's okay to have that long as it's not crossing those emotional boundaries of a relationship. And like Kim said, as long as you're not demeaning your partner or making your partner feel less than or feeling like they're only accomplishing if they are doing it at your level. Um, it absolutely has everything to do with the relationship and how strong your relationship is. There's just certain words that you cannot use if your relationship is not ready for it. And competition is one of those words.
I
And
agree.
I think when we talk about that is that's when you have to do that self evaluation of your life and your relationship and say, hey, is my relationship okay with using not just competition but words that could really set the relationship up for failure, because for you to use words means that you would have to know your partner and what triggers your partner. If your husband is fresh off of being an athlete and you're using words like competition, like sometimes the message gets lost when you use specific words. And instead of saying competition, I think it's healthier to say inspire and motivate. You know, if you go to somebody and say, hey, um, this is a competition, that sounds like it's almost like you're like picking at me, like this is a competition. Like, okay, I gotta get ready. It's almost like you're demeaning somebody, so to speak. But when I come to you and I say, hey, what can I do to inspire you, or what can I do to motivate you?
They mean something different. Inspiring and competing against each other are something different. When you compete, you're against each other. When you inspire, you're inspiring to be on the same page, to do the same thing, to be better at what it is you're doing.
Well,
Competition is being against, like when you play a game, you're competing against each other. Unless, like Floyd says, you're on the same team, you want to motivate each other to do better. Competition usually is you're on different teams and you're fighting for the same thing. So it's like you're lacking something. Is your relationship lacking something? Why would you have to compete?
well, I think my analogy, Kim, you can chime in whatever, but like when I
Okay.
think about healthy competition is when we think of Kobe and Mike. With Kobe looked at Mike as his competition, but at the same time, he was letting Mike know, like, you inspire me. So I may be competing against you, but I'm learning as I'm competing against you. I want to take what you're teaching me and master it and add my own little thing on it. And I, from that standpoint, I don't think that's kind of like a negative competition, but it's in
But
all how you approach it and how you word it.
But you're
like
talking about
like
a
you
but
said,
what,
and
relationship.
what
that respect has to be there. That is probably the key word when you said respect. It's like it's okay to keep compete against someone when you're showing them the respect, and the respect is I'm not out to get you, I'm out to learn from you to make myself better. And the
but
only way
you
I'm
know
going to get better is to look at what you're doing, give you credit for it, and then kind of 2.0 it.
I just think, when you think about relationships and we emotionally, we're different.
Yeah.
You're talking about competing and the way you say things. You
Yep.
learn, you grow, and the one thing that I've learned is that we're all on different journeys. Where I am right now might not be where he is,
Yeah.
and so when you're talking about competing and inspiring, I tell my husband a lot of times I'll come back and be like, you know what, I'm sorry. I said, because where I am, and you said it best when you said self evaluation. I'm always doing that. I don't look at other relationships and say that mine needs to be like that, but I might have some takeaways.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to make myself better for those around me.
Uh-huh.
And so I might be steps ahead of them. And so I'll be like, you know what, I'll apologize. I said, because right now this is where I am and this is where I'm trying to be. You might not be there yet. So I have to let you grow and get there before I get upset because we don't think the same way. You know, I
Yeah.
might be living and learning daily the things that you're not doing. You know, I'm looking at things, I'm looking at life, I'm looking at love, I'm looking at relationships, I'm looking at being progressive, you know, and still you think about, if I think about myself, the many hats that I wear, I'm trying to be the same person in every relationship that I have. So I leave the house as a mom and a wife. You know, I'm a sister and a daughter.
Mhm.
You know, I'm a coworker. You know, I'm a coach. I'm a friend. You know, a lot of people lean on me, and all those different relationships, you learn different things. You know, I might be everyone's lean on person. So what I learned from everybody, you know, I can't change who I am. I'm gonna be the same person, but I'm in a different space
Yeah.
because I'm trying to be the best person that I can be. I'm trying to make everybody's life easier. But that might not be where everybody else is.
Yeah.
And so because everyone else is not there, I can't expect them to be. I can't
Yeah.
expect them to be me. So when you're competing, you know, you're competing. I'm on a whole different level.
Yeah.
So sometimes I can't compete with you because I'm always in
That
win
I
mode.
may have to come
You know what I'm
down.
saying? That's right. And so when I'm in win mode, you're like, you know, do I do that? You know, I am an athlete. I'm a true athlete.
Yeah.
Everything I do, I'm doing to win. I'm working out. That scale might not move. I'm back the next day trying to win. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, you know, I'm like I'm good where I am, but I'm everything that I do is a competition for me. It's a game.
Uh-huh.
I've been playing games since I was a kid. You know, that's what
Yeah.
we did. So I look at life like that as well,
Yeah.
but I know how to tone it down so that I'm not disrespecting anybody.
Yeah.
I'm at work. You got a game? I'm trying to win. I don't, you know, we get paid for performance. It's a game to me. My work's gonna be of quality. And
Uh-huh.
when the bonus time comes in, I'm trying to win. I want that same bonus I got last year. I competition, you can't run away with it, but it's how you frame it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So everyone's gonna frame it differently. I frame mine where I can be, you know, I can tone it down. I understand that I never go walk around saying that I'm better than anybody. I'm just gonna work that way, you
Yeah.
know. The things that I do for my family, I'm showing that. I'm competitive with me. How can I be better for you? You might not be there. Your level of being great for me might be different. It's on a whole different level. So you are competing to be great,
Yeah.
you know, unsaid. It might not reach my level, but that might be the level that you're at, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is true. Not everybody's level of greatness is the same. And you said something that I always say is that I think one of our toughest struggles as humans is managing our expectations. And a lot of times we have a tendency to put the expectations that we have for ourselves on other people. And I think that's where the frustration comes in when we talk about the levels that we're at, is because sometimes if you don't manage your expectations correctly, you'll put them on someone else. And that is probably one of the most unfair things that you can do. But when you become a master at managing your expectations, you understand that I'm at my level. Like I know where I'm at. Now, if my actions inspire and motivate you to reach my level, then that's fine. But my expectations of you are not going to be the same expectations that I have of myself. I'm going to let you give me your expectation. I'm not going to form that for you. And I think that's important. Chris, you have something to say? Yeah, and you said something very important, Kim. It's really in how you frame it. You can almost say anything,
Hmm.
and it will have a different meaning how you say it, and the situation that you say it in, and who you say it to. And so I think that, and plus, we also have to understand that a lot of words that we use have carried a negative connotation for so long that people don't view it in a positive way anymore. And it's just like failure. When I created Failure Brand, when I first created Failure Brand, like you couldn't, the number of people that was looking at me sideways, like, why would you create? And I said, that is the very reason why I created Failure, is because apparently your relationship with failure is one that is not conducive to you reaching the level of success that you want to reach. Because in order for you to get there, you have to have a healthy, good relationship with failure, because failure is like death. It's gonna be there, whether you want it or not. So you might as well have a good, healthy relationship with it, understanding that, okay, it's gonna be there, it's gonna happen. I can't let it get me down. And I just told this kid the other night, you want to know, and he was a professional MMA fighter, and the other kid was a professional basketball player. I told him, I said, you know, the difference between professional athletes and regular people is their ability to move on from failure without blinking an eye. That's that short term memory that professionals have that most people don't have. And I'm sure Kim can attest to that as well. But Floyd, did you have anything to add to the subject?
Not to the subject,
Uh
but
oh.
no, no.
Like I said, Floyd. Whenever I get people on here that know me, Floyd start trying to dig in my past and get little tidbits. So Kim, watch my eyes. If I blink twice, that means don't answer. All right. But Floyd, you gotta
No.
understand, like we were young when we knew each other. I got them by 4 or 5 years, so I was always like 4 or 5 years ahead of them. So so you ain't gonna really get the information you think you gonna get.
No, this is not about Tim. So you had mentioned South Carolina, and when I actually did basic in South Carolina at Fort Jackson.
Okay.
When I was there and I saw those big old trees, I was scared.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I was like, we were walking down through like a big old forest type of place, and then I looked and I saw a house in the back there, and they said it was like, oh yeah, 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 that's Master House.
Hmm.
What?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, whoa. I was literally
You
like,
were
oh,
you were in Colombia when the house, or they took you like to, because when I drive through, when you're younger, you don't. And I'll tell you a true story. So we're military and we grew up. So I was born in Arkansas. The base is closed. Me and my older brother, Arkansas, raised born in California. Talisha was born in Germany. Chrissy was born in Oklahoma. To be military kids and travel, we were always on a military base. So the school was on base. Got to South Carolina, the first school that was off base. And and I don't, you might not know because you went older, but when you go to the school, like we was always like the minority. We 5 kids come to the school, you're minority. And then that first day we went to Ebenezer. John went to Hillcrest. Ebenezer was a junior high. There was more black kids in the office than we've ever seen before.
mm,
So you're kind of like shook, like,
mm-hmm.
you thought you're going there, and my cousin came to school with us at the time, so we went there. It's nothing but black kids in this school. The white people are now the minority. And then the school was on a farm. Where the farm was next door, you weren't allowed to wear shorts. There was no air conditioning. Now we're spoiled kids. We're spoiled. We air conditioned. Um, and so to go from what we know to that and being around in the South, was like a eye-opening experience, because now people are calling you the N-word. There's a lot of dark roads. There's a
Right.
lot of back roads.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of big houses,
Yep.
and you start. The military shielded you from a lot of the real history of the world, and then you get to South Carolina and you have these eye-opening experiences where you do see those big houses.
Man.
You knew not to go certain areas. Even now when I drive, like, we got ways, and if you get stuck, going 26, you got to get on 95 to Florida, and sometimes there's so much traffic, we go the side roads. And even now, I'm like, I'm not going that way if it's dark, because there's a lot of big houses back there. And in my mind,
Right.
there's a lot of big houses, no lights,
Mm,
long roads.
yep.
And I'm thinking, I always say, what happened back here? You know, why does it look like this? Like, why is there even a road? Like, and I think about the movies that I've seen, like, we're movie people. So when you think about some of the things that you've seen, those things happen there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you start paying attention, to a lot of the history of the South. And, even North Carolina, we got a plantation right here, Latta Plantation.
Mm-hmm.
They've turned it into like a park,
Mm-hmm.
but the big house is still there. So, Floyd, where are you from?
Arizona.
Oh, well, yeah, you probably was kind of a little shook like
Oh
us.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh
but South Carolina is a different experience. I
Yeah,
honestly, I don't know. I have good friends there, but because we were exposed to the military, I knew that's not where I wanted to spend the rest of my life.
yeah. Right. Exactly.
Um, it was good to me. I went to college there, met my husband there. We go back there frequently, but I didn't, you know, you I didn't know what I wanted to be or what I wanted to do, but I just didn't feel like whatever I wanted to be was going to happen there.
Yeah.
Um, so the exposure that we had to the world and to various people, um, taught me early on that I was not going to be there.
Exactly. Yeah.
it definitely was. Even for me, when I got to the base, like I had lived in small towns. My dad was from DeRidder, Louisiana, and at the time, DeRidder was a town of like 10,000 people. So I understood it, but it's different when you're a kid, and you grow up in certain areas because a lot of stuff you don't understand as a kid. Like in Louisiana, they had a black and a white pool.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was called a black pool and it was called a white pool, and the black kids really didn't go to the white pool. Um, but as a kid, you don't really understand that. So
Right.
when I got to Shaw Air Force Base, and like she said, it was very eye opening because they were very in your face about the divide there. We'll call it a divide. And it was something I had never been exposed to as an adult. It was almost like we were visitors there.
Mhm.
And so it was an experience that I wouldn't take back because it opened my eyes to how the world really is, and not just in South Carolina. It showed you a broader view of that side of it. And so yeah, I'm like him. I ain't been back there since I got out. Like, and her father lives there, and
He loves
I
it.
talk to him all the time. I try to get him to come out here and visit. He's come out here a couple times, but he's like, Tim, when you gonna come to South Carolina? And I love Walt to death. Like I love Walt. I'm like, Walt, we gotta meet somewhere. Like I can't just come back to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Bro, like I can't.
Mm-hmm.
But it was definitely a learning experience. And so, Kim, we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I always
Yes.
say, man, I appreciate anybody that gives us the thing that is so valuable, and that is their time, because I know they could be uh, doing so many other things. So we appreciate you giving us your time. We appreciate the feedback. It's always good to talk to you, and
Yeah.
so I'm glad you guys had the pleasure of meeting and talking to her because
Yes. Thank you, Kim. Thank you.
she
Thank you.
she
Thanks for having me.
she is a pillar in her own right, from what she does in the community, personal life, business, what she does with her girls on the basketball court. won Coach of the Year. I don't know how many times, and so it's a testament. She comes from a really good family, though, like a really good family. Her family was so good in South Carolina. There was kids that I personally heard that I wish my parents was like your parents. Like it was just, and it wasn't anything extraordinary that they did, but you just felt the love and the cohesiveness in their house, and it parlayed when the kids left the house because they carried those values and those morals with them, regardless of wherever they were, and they garnered so much respect from not only the military personnel but also the civilians that lived in the city. You couldn't really talk sports without talking about the Owls. I mean, that's just the way. That's the way it was in South Carolina. So once again, Kim, I really appreciate. Oh,
Kim, I do have a question for you. What do you do for your mental health when times are hard in your relationship with your family? How do you stay positive? What are practices or things that you do?
Pretty much is I work out. I'm not a teacher. I'm a compliance officer for TIAA. So and then I leave work and I coach high school basketball. All of it's stressful at any given time, but I make sure that I schedule time for myself to take care of me. I've gotten to a place in my life where I've learned to say no. Um, I do, a lot of times people will take up your time and have you doing everything from them and they don't show up for you. So I've gotten a point in my life where I do what I want to do and what's in my heart. I don't miss my workout days regardless. It's one of those things I learned, like we schedule time to get nails done and hair done, but we never schedule time to take care of our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can control what I can control, and that's important for me. I like to get massages, pedicures. When you start having kids young, a lot of times you give so much of yourself that you lose yourself in everything. With your kids and your family. And so sometimes you got to reclaim a lot of your time to make sure you're okay. Because if you're not okay, you're not okay for anybody else. And I got to be okay for a lot of people because I do love coaching. Um, I'm good at my work. I'm good. I'm a good mom. I think they think I'm great. So I'm one of those people that I like consistency, and in order for me to be able to give that, I try to take care of myself.
Thank you for sharing that. I was feeling everything that you just said 100%. I'm a young mom myself, so uh, spending time for yourself, but also what I'm learning that you just said is learning to say no. That is so hard as a mother to learn how to say no. So
Yeah,
that's a big one. Thank you for sharing.
you're welcome.
well, Kim, this won't be the last show that we have you on. We're gonna have to bring Kim on when we talk sports. We ain't gonna talk football because I don't want to know nothing about your Dallas Cowboys. Being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan,
Uh, I'm a Dallas fan, but my husband's the ultimate Dallas fan. I get aggravated with him. I ain't gonna kick him to the curb, but I feel like you know, like how close can you get and not win? I'm one of those. Like I'm a realist. Like you
Kim, so
know,
you're guilty by association.
no, I cheer for them, but my husband is die hard, one of the ones that you love to hate. But I'm one of those where I'd be like, dude, like get rid of Jerry Jones, or I mean, there's got to be some change. There's a reason
Yeah,
why that you go 12-4 every year and then you lose in the playoffs.
yeah.
I feel like they're under or overachievers, whatever you want to call them. Like Dak has the numbers. You got CD. I don't get it. Like you have to get over the hump. Um, and we're all professionals. Like it's like they don't know how to rise past, or I don't get it. Where that struggle is, where you cannot get over. That hump.
I think with Dallas, in all seriousness, though, is being an ex athlete and loving sports in general. Um, to me, the feeling that I get with Dallas is it's not player personnel. I think it's more of management ownership with them because, like you said, every year they're 12-4. And that just tells anybody, like, you don't have to be an ex-athlete, you don't have to be a coach. You look at it at 12-4, like, the players are doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's somebody in management, in the front offices, in ownership, somebody is dropping the ball somewhere down the line because everybody. Go ahead,
Think
Kim.
about it though. They were just valued at their highest valued team, period.
Yeah,
So like, who cares about winning the Super Bowl when I'm a billionaire? The team's the
that's
highest
true.
valued team.
Yes.
So we're doing something right still. I mean, I want to win trophies. Like at the ultimately,
Yeah.
it's
That's why we play
about
the game.
Trophies.
the. I'm sorry. Like I had my team. I coach at charter school, and we're 2A. No one ever expects us to win anything, but we always win, and we made it to the Final Four this year. The lowest seed ever, and to be one game away from the championship. My husband was like, the team that we would have played if we won. They had McDonald's All Americans on there, so he was like, "Would you want to play there?" I was like, "Hell yeah, yeah."
Yep. Yep.
I
I
said,
want all this
"You,
smoke.
I said if they gonna beat us, beat me." But I got there.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be there. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get there regardless of what my seating is. I'm always trying to win. I'm not. I don't. I believe I'm. When I walk in the gym, and I told my kids because I have like charter school is like it's like a private school, but I don't have JV, so they're I get middle school and I have to teach them to be better players. And so I tell them when I walk in there, I'm confident that we're gonna win. So y'all need to walk with me the exact same way. The same
Yep.
attitude I have, I
Yep.
need you to have.
Yeah.
And I
Yep. And those experiences playing up or playing against better competition is priceless because the if nothing else, the experience and exposure that you get playing against them does nothing but make you better. Does nothing but make you better. And so that is important. So I can't wait till we talk about sports, Kim.
mhm,
We might have you and Ray on at the same time if I can ever nail Ray down and
I
get him
know.
on.
He gets some of them podcasts cast
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. I'm gonna catch him. It's about that time of the year where he start coming out here. So yeah, we're gonna catch up. But Kim, let me let you get back to football. I know this is a football day. Like I said, I appreciate your time, and we will be in touch.
All right. Thank you
Love you.
guys. Love you too.
All
Bye
right.
Bye.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
And I felt like this was an important topic for a couple different reasons. Is the world that we live in now, it's in these relationships there's so much unspoken competition that's killing relationships. um, and she hit on one of the major ones is when it comes to finances.
Mm.
We don't know how these days to be a cohesive unit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not about you making more money than me and I should be feeling a certain kind of way. When you're within a relationship, you share everything.
Right.
Everything is one.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it to
Repeat.
where, when you're in a relationship, it's like that pot. Like everything goes in the pot.
Right.
And any one of us can put our hand in that pot and pull something out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of who's doing more than the other one. It's like, and that's the other thing that bothers me is like we look at the physical, we look at the material stuff, but when we really dig deep, is there's a lot of value that's being brought to the relationship emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually. We have a tendency to undervalue those things,
Mm-hmm.
and we place more value on finances and material things. And so it was important for me to talk about that. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, man. As always, another show for the books. This thing is getting better and better. You had something to say, Christy? Um, Chrissy, you look really vibrant today.
She looks alive.
Thank
She's
you.
like just.
I am
just,
alive.
Just
You
like.
look
We are
I'm
live.
looking at you,
Glowing.
and there's like an aura.
Right.
around you.
I see. I was like,
Yeah, there's
it's
like
the
a
tan.
aura.
It's the tan. I've been
It's the
outside.
tan.
Okay. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, man. I'm getting comments that people's like, "Oh, I was just talking about that the other day," and yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, man, and stay tuned. We have we're going to get bigger and better, and so I look forward to the growth. But we're gonna let you guys get on and finish the rest of your weekend. We hope you guys have a blessed weekend, and how we end all shows: love, peace, and soul.